I'll alter. Right. Okay. Thank you. Well, hello everyone. It's so lovely to see you. And maybe we could just sit for a moment and just feel, the root of this unity and love that we all have for each other. This feeling of family. It's so beautiful. And everybody that's watching or will watch or may watch, let them be blessed and included in this as the one presence. Thank you. I feel we're all knitted together now. So Jenny, are you okay to put the poem up? Thank you so much. You're muted. Ah, great. Oh yeah. Okay. So, every so often, since just, because I've written a couple of books and things, sometimes people, ask me what my journey is, and Joni briefly asked me this the other week, and sometimes when that happens, it's a real privilege to be asked. It's lovely, but what seems to happen is that my mind just goes blank. I just can't. The word, the word path and journey has seemed to have been a little bit eclipsed by just now, and yes, I suppose so. So I really thought about it. I thought, I thought about, well, I have had a journey, obviously, because my journey's been about just the love of spirit, like probably everybody here and a lot of people listening for all of my life, really. But when I wasn't seeing things, I wasn't seeing things, like you don't see things till you see things. And it really gave me a great contemplation about how much it mattered, since I didn't see anything till I saw anything. And would that have happened without this, that, or the other? So anyway, out of this contemplation, this poem was born. So I'll just read it out. And then afterwards, I'd love to hear other people's thoughts about their own, well, whatever it makes you think of. So here we are. And it's just called I Am an Open Book. When I'm asked, what was my journey? I wonder if it really matters, whether my life was great or a train crash in tatters, because when I learned to take frequent pauses throughout the day, of stopping the constant thinking play, I woke up to the extraordinary happenings outside of time, and my life before, spent missing all this, was my only terrible crime. Yet no punishment required, since I was blind till I saw that everything around me is God's open door. God is that fly over there, and the wind blowing in my hair, and the grass, and the grazing cow. So my journey is nowhere but here and now. I am an open book which is empty, if you look. No writing on the pages, or a life told in stages. No history from past ages, no chapter or paragraph, no words to make you cry or laugh, no secrets to enthrall. Just capacity for all to make their mark or leave it stark. No life that went before, just an open swinging door, merely an awestruck witness of life about its business. God, squirreling, birding, and flowering. Mind shrinks away, tail down and cowering, finding the beauty overpowering. Lost for words, it loses face when emptiness takes its place. Every person, flower, and creature becomes my blessed teacher. They are an entrance to God's presence, expressing his eternal essence. So, life's not a journey, though it seems to be. We can leave the train when we stop and see. Only in stillness does clarity dawn. That moment by moment, a fresh day is born. So, my life is no mystery. It's just not making history. So thank you. Thank you very much for listening. And I just wonder if you had any thoughts that came up or observations about your own seeing this. Because I suppose what I meant was what I went deeply in, and then I'll shut up. Is that I kind of so many people wake up and they don't seem to have had a journey, a spiritual journey. And I went to years ago on a Tony Parsons retreat, and and there was a man there who was just so obviously well liberated. It just a very simple guy. And he told me that he was a docker. He worked in the docks. A very, very hard job and a very rough job. And his skin was like sort of leather, brown and lined, and somebody that had worked hard and outside all his life. He was just a fantastic presence. And he told me that it happened for him. He had no interest in spirituality at all. Nothing about it just didn't even occur to him. And then one night in a pub, you know, it just suddenly everything just fell away. And I'm sure everybody's got a story about somebody they know or somebody they've heard of like this just fell away, everything. And he went absolutely mad for a while because he didn't know what it was, having not had any spiritual experience. And so I mean, he just went on a bender, as we call it, 3 weeks of just solid drinking because it frightened him to death. He didn't know who he was anymore. His whole identity had just disappeared. And then he met somebody who was a sort of a kind of a guru type person who explained to him what was happening. And he suggested to this friend that he go and see Tony Parsons since Tony was in England and he was in England, which he did. And he literally had about a day on that retreat, and it was about a 3 or 4 day retreat. And he just suddenly saw that he didn't kind of need it anymore. And he was a really lovely man, very down to it. But that was interesting. And then I thought, we put so much store by reading spiritual books, and I do. I love them. Love them. But years and years, nothing had happened at all. I'd get ideas about what this was, but for me, it was just so simple and bit by bit, drip feeding still going on, not a thing that's finished or happened but just realizing that, as I said in other times, just that realization that you could just stop thinking and buying into the thoughts. That was what sort of was the most important thing and not anything else. So I just wondered about the journey and how important it was. But it kind of is and it isn't. Anyway, I'll shut up now because I'd love to hear what anybody has to say, either about what I've said or your own thoughts. Or if you don't want to, fine. Oh yes, Lynn and then Vince, you happened at the same time. So yes, Lynn, love to hear from you.
Well, I'm excited to hear from Vince. So I'm just gonna try to make this, I don't know, short and sweet. There's not a time in my life that I haven't been on the journey, that I haven't since I was a very, very small child. Once I got the understanding, and I know I must have been like, I couldn't have been more than 3 or 4, well, 3 years old because we moved from that place. I was actually seeing and talking to Jesus, and Jesus was my buddy, and I didn't think anything about it. I just thought that was what everybody did. So I just spent my whole life, once I figured that was not true, that not everybody had that. Um, then I just started looking, and I went through a lot. I was Catholic. I went through all the disassociation from that. Uh, uh, Thought, let me find something that's different, way different. And I went to the library and I got Autobiography of a Yogi. I was 14 years old, and I read that book twice. I just read it and then I turned it around and read it again because it was so amazing to me. I was like, oh my God, this is just so perfect. And I mean, I search and search and search and search, always thinking, because Jesus told me 3 different times, help me save this world, help me save the world. And I was thinking, how can I do that? Never thought to ask for instructions, which I found in hindsight was really, really crazy, because that's when I met Vicky Poppy, and she said, "Oh, that's the first thing I asked was how. What do you want me to do?" Me, I just like, oh, I figure I'm going to do it. I'm going to save the whales, and I'm going to save the starving children, and I'm going to save I thought save the politicians from their craziness, and I thought I was going to save lots of stuff, but never never what it really was. And then I found A Course of Miracles, and that was my instruction book. And from that time on, that there's never been a question. And I've had so many awakenings, just little like just little things that happen that just open and open and open and open. And now I'm into Sebastian and his books. I've fallen in love with him completely. But not as a replacement for anything, but just here's someone else who's helping with instruction on how to keep doing what we need to do. So anyway, very simple, very simple. And I have a short story about someone else, but I'm not going to tell it right now. I'll wait and see what everyone else has to say. So
Oh,
thanks for letting me share.
okay, well, come back to us with that one.
Okay.
That was fabulous. So fascinating. Thank you, Lynn, so much. Thank you. Yes, Vince. Hi, Vince.
Hello. I just wanted to say that uh, the one line that really stood out for me from, I mean, there's a lot, but the one that really caught my attention was, "My journey is nowhere but here and now." And it's a nice, poetic, elegant way to say to be present and to learn to treat each moment as a destination. And I think all the reading and studying that we do is really just to help us do the next right thing.
Yeah. I mean, also, you don't have a choice, do you, Vince? That's what I find. I mean, I couldn't. You think you have a choice, but if you're compelled to expand and be interested in awakening and this, you actually can't help it, you know. So, yeah, that's thank you. Yeah, it's made me think that. Thank you so much. So then Joni and John and Rafi. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna help Mary get in. So I'll go to John and then Rafi and I'll be ready that later.
Okay. And hello, Dov. Hi, Dov. Hi. Right, John, please go
Hi. Yeah,
ahead.
thanks for your call, man. And in answer to your question, like what it brought up for me, it just kept one word just coming up. Adventure, an open book. And the word adventure just seemed to show up for me. So that kind of speaks to and then as I was thinking, like more and more, it's about creating an adventure, the possibilities of whatever it can create. And along those lines, and I heard Lynn talk about Course in Miracles. That wasn't my first spiritual teaching, but or metaphysical teaching, but it certainly helped. But I did hear yesterday a guy, Hakim, I don't know if you know him, The Eternal Within. He wrote The Eternal Within. And he's saying, in answer to somebody's question about why they're procrastinating and slow, and he says, that's a wonderful thing to be slow and procrastinating, because it gives you that space, and and it's in opposition to being in control and being wanting things to happen and all that. So I think what came for me was the metaphor of Mr. Snail, because I was called that recently when I spoke about that, Mr. Snail, and along that line, the joy of the open books, the open book story was just a little childish thing in a kind of way, but it's like a story of the snail who's Sammy the snails. He slept all of last night in the he slept all night in the strawberry bed and woke up this morning with pains in his head. And anyway, it's just a little thing. So it's kind of an adventure story, like whatever shows up, it's just great. And I think Vince was saying that. What the heck the next minute we're going to bring to what's Mandy going to bring this Monday today? And it's kind of really an adventure. And I'll shut up there too. I'm having too much of a good time.
No, never shut up, John. Never. I love to hear what you say. And also, yeah, it's the adventure is whatever shows up. That you said it. I love that. Whatever shows up, that's it right there. Yes, Rafi. And then Joni. Yes, Rafi. Thank you, John. Hi, Rafi.
Hi. I I don't know how to begin because I don't know where beginning is, but have been led through this for a long time. Nothing I did got me here. And then I looked at this thing and I hear things, well, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Because you already are that. So how can you be going there? You are that. Well, then that means that there isn't any journey. That means there isn't any path. There just is the is-ness, the oneness, the truth. And how did I get here? I don't know. I was led here. I every time I turn around, there's something there that says this is where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing right now. So the only thing I can put it on is divine guidance. I've been divinely guided every step of the way. And how did all of this quiet that I can link on to that happened? Where did it all come from? It's always been there. How did I get to the point where I can see it and know that it is and it is me? Haven't a clue. All I know is it's there, and I link onto it all the time. When I meditate, well, who decided that I was going to meditate? I don't know, but all of a sudden I do it every day. Who decided that I'm going to be this unbelievably happy, this pure joy of being? I don't know, but it's always there. Who decided where these insights come from? Beats the hell out of me, but they're always there. And so that's what I depend on. And every time the mind starts getting really chatty, or it even says anything, I just look at it and say, well, where did those thoughts come from? Who did I haven't got a clue. And I don't pay attention to them because they aren't true. They aren't me. They aren't real. They just come and go, and I'm not gonna identify with them. And then feelings come up, and I go, okay, like this morning, before I linked on to this, I did about 10 minutes of releasing. The first thing that came up is you're inadequate, you're inferior, you're unworthy, you're limited. And I got, wow, this is great. I got a hold of those feelings, and the wanting approval came up, and I let it go. And the wanting control came up, and I let it go. And the wanting safety and security and survival, the fear of dying came up, and I let that go. More of that stuff came up, and I just kept letting it go and letting it go and letting it go. And then all of a sudden, it's time to lock into this and be in a group, like Lester used to say, of keeping holy company. When all of this, when all our consciousness comes together like this, it rises by itself. Did I do that? Not the eye that I see in the mirror didn't do that. Not that eye. So there isn't that eye. There's only this, and it becomes more and more and more pronounced all the time, more available, more obvious, and this obvious omnipresence shows itself in the quiet all the time, and the amount of love that's around me. I mean, I'm surrounded by loving relationships. My financial net worth keeps increasing all by itself. I have perfect health. Did I do that? I didn't do anything. I ain't the doer. It ain't me but the Father that worked it through me. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just showing up. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was absolutely magnificent, Rafi. I really loved that. Thank you. It was really, it's just really great to hear. Thank you. Fabulous. Yes, Joni.
Well, thank you, John and Rafi and Mandy and Lynn for sharing your spiritual journey, because um, that's not what I was thinking. Because I was, as we said, I was the person who asked Mandy what was her journey. Was she going to write a book? Because I was thinking linearly, like this is what happened in my classrooms. I didn't even see it as classrooms. I just saw I was born, blah, 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 blah. And and then when she said, "Is-ness is my own business" is my book. And I was like so dumbfounded and a little teeny embarrassed. And thanks for you guys sharing all of this, the three of you, because it is a reminder. And I have, since I asked that question and before this poem, been reflecting on my journey or life. And what I noticed was, could I look at it neutrally? And unlike the poem that talks about if it even happened, I just had a different perspective or a different energy about it, an acceptance. And as I move forward, based on what you guys are reminding me, I noticed that I'm building the trust that I have resisted so much. Dove has said it 1.3 billion times. And I feel like I'm at least aware of my soul's journey instead of my ego's journey. So this poem was very lovely written to remind me that uh, my ego's journey is is neutral, and my soul's journey is the blessing and the trust. So I'm happy to jump ship and be aware of my soul's journey. Thank you. In the present
Oh,
now.
yeah, Joni, thank you. And I love that jumping ship. It's true because the only thing that thinks we've got a journey is the mortal mind, isn't it, really? There's no journey in the soul. It just looks that way, doesn't it? That's so lovely. Thank you. Hi, Dov. Yes.
Okay, I was listening to Rafi talking. He said, "Who did all this?" Certainly wasn't a guy looking in the mirror. Well, if you're doing the Course in Miracles, it really says the script was written, and we did write our own script. We did write our own script. Now, there's a guy by the name of Rob Schwartz. I mentioned him. A few of the people that are part of ACM Gather. One is Myrna. from Boca Raton, Florida, and the other Susan from Massachusetts. Both of them are kind of follower students. I wrote an article on Rob Schwartz for Miracles Magazine, the only article I ever wrote for John Mundy's magazine. And it came when Rob Schwartz was a guest on John Mundy, and it said he deals in pre-life regression and past life and things. I said, what is that doing in A Course in Miracles? That's how I started that hour that I listened to John and Rob. By the end, I said, this is so perfect. This is the perfect complement to A Course in Miracles, because, yeah, it says the script is written, but it doesn't say anything more. And he has 2 or 3 books. I can give you the names of the book, but it's easy just to look them up. Look under Rob, R-O-B, Schwartz. And as it says, why did you choose the people who are in your life? Now, in chapter 29, section 4 of the course, it's called Dream Roles. And it says, no one in your dream could do anything to you except the role that you assigned to them, telling you that there's no accident these people are in your life. Then there's another place in the course, it says, you peopled your dream with the people in your past lives. You peopled your dream. I can't tell you where it is, but it's definitely in the course. So he's hinting that we come here to learn lessons that we need to learn, and we write the script for the lessons that we need to learn. It's that simple, really.
Carry on. Did you want to say any more? No, I mean, absolutely, totally. Yeah, it's just definitely the case, isn't it?
Yeah. If anyone's interested in the books that he has 3 main books. The main one is called the Soul's Love. Soul's, Soul's Love. And it says, your soul's love explores the pre-birth planning of challenges related to romantic relationships or their absence, infidelity, impotence, raising children alone after the death of one's partner, being single, and celibate relationships. And then he has another book called The Soul's Gift, the healing power of the life you planned before you were born. And the other is called Your Soul's Plan. Your Soul's Plan discovers the real meaning of the life you planned before you were born. So that's a pretty good head start in finding out how you got here.
Great. Thank you so much, Dov. Yes, Rafi.
Well, going along with that, it's the 2 things that jumped up: responsibility. I am responsible for everything that's going on here. I mean, I am that divine, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresence that arranged every single moment of this dream for my benefit. It's serving me perfectly, and I am serving. So I'm being served, and I'm serving at the same time. And there's the definition of giving and receiving are one. The other thing is, I am the dreamer of the dream. When did all of this happen? Well, it didn't happen when I was, 4 years old running through the house. It must have happened before there was anybody who was 4 years old running through the house. And every single moment has been divinely orchestrated for my benefit. Who did that? There's no separate thing from me who did this, so I must have done that. Who is the I that did that? Not the I that walks around in the body. The I that walks around in the body, that body is here to help me communicate and help me to serve. Everything helps me to serve. Everything helps me being served. So it can't get any more perfect than that. And every decision I made, life is a decision. Okay, every decision I made was preordained for me for my benefit. When you say the script is already written, the script is already written perfectly for my benefit. There's nothing about, you're gonna something terrible is gonna happen. And what he just mentioned, the thing about being a single parent. I was a single parent, losing a loved one. Lost a loved one. What was that for? The lessons that I learned from that. They were here. They made their contribution, served while they were here. They did their job. They're gone. Did they go anywhere? No, only their bodies went. Only the imagery of body went somewhere. The permanency of being is the reality, and it's divinely working everything for my benefit and for my well-being, my awakening. Everything here is so. If I focus on my purpose, I am in line with what the purpose is and what the power of what I come from and what I'm made of is. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Rafi. It's so beautifully said, every word, because everything's like a willow tree. It's all bending towards your well-being, isn't it? Every single thing. And you've just put that so beautifully. Thank you. So you really expanded on that. Thank you so much. Yes, Lynn. Hi. You're going to tell us the story now, or is it something?
Okay, and first, to address Rob Schwartz.
You've gone a bit quiet.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. It's just gone quiet, quieter than it was before for some reason.
That's very odd. Let me see. Let me check my microphone. Make sure that it's right. Is that any better?
Oh yeah, a lot better. Yeah.
Good. All right. So first off, I was going to say, in relation to the Rob Schwartz, Your Soul's Plan, I get his weekly newsletter, and he does do a lot of events. But there's a documentary movie out called Every Soul Knows: The Joy of Remembering Who We Really Are. And Rob and Liesl are in that video, in that documentary. So if you want, I'll send out a link to that. So if you want to watch it, I think it's probably pretty interesting. And also on Sunday mornings, I know Rafi has been there. Zita and I, that's what we mainly talk about on our Sunday mornings is the uh, like intermingling past and present lives and all the different potential out there in the in the dream for us to have experiences. And so it's pretty interesting. Anyway, so the story I was going to tell. So some of you may or may not know that I used to work at a nuclear plant. We built nuclear weapons, and I handled plutonium and worked with highly radioactive material uh, in that job. This has nothing to do with that. But at that plant, it was very large. And there was we did all of our own, they did all of their own building because of the security and radiation and all that kind of stuff. So we had a carpenter shop, and the carpenter shop had some of the most fabulous carpenters, master carpenters that worked in there. And this one guy, I mean, he made the most beautiful things. He was just an amazing carpenter. And I mean, they made shelves, and I mean, everything you needed, furniture-wise, even in the plant. Grandfather clocks. They built all this stuff. Anyway, this guy, he was just an amazing carpenter. And I just thought, that's Chuck the Carpenter. And we used to talk a lot. He had a very deep philosophical thinking. And so, that was part of my, constantly looking for God everywhere, having these conversations with this carpenter, Chuck. And then one day, my son said he wanted to take Taekwondo lessons. And so there was a Taekwondo place in town, and conveniently, and so I went and registered him and got him into Taekwondo. And so one night I was there, and who would come in there but Chuck the carpenter. And it turns out that Chuck the carpenter was the head of the International Taekwondo Foundation. He was the highest ranking Taekwondo master in the world, or in the Western world. He was the second highest in the world, but in the Western world, he was the highest. He was revered throughout the world. If you looked at any Taekwondo magazines or anything, wherever he went, people were bowing to him. And I mean, that's a Taekwondo thing, but he was like this highly, like he was a grand master, Chuck the carpenter. And that's when I realized it doesn't matter what you're doing. You can be the janitor and be a grand master at the same time. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And so at that point, I realized it didn't matter, because I always was kind of embarrassed about having a career that was so far off from my spiritual aspirations. And I realized there's no career that's far off from your spiritual aspirations. That is your spiritual aspiration, is how you are in that, whatever that career is. And so I just thought that was interesting. Everyone is on the same journey, and you can't discount anyone for anything. I was an engineer, he was a carpenter. You would think, oh, well, engineers got a much higher ranking here in this world. No, not at all. I was like this compared to what he was to the world. So anyway, just a interesting story.
I love that story because that it always interests me terribly much that everybody's such a treasure and you've no idea what else they do, and I love that. And in fact, I watched a film last night with my friend yesterday afternoon. Oh, I loved this film. It was called Flaming Hot. And it was directed by Eva Longoria, who used to be in Desperate Housewives, and she has gone from strength to strength. She's an amazing director, and it was a true story. It was the biopic of a janitor, a Mexican janitor who worked in a kind of like a Doritos sort of factory, like they made those kind of nachos and those sort of snacks. But he had an idea of how to make something much tastier and from real peppers and vegetables and not from powders. Anyway, he had this idea, and he was shut down so many times. He wasn't listened to, but he had an amazing wife who believed in him totally. And eventually he was listened to. He decided to ring up the head honcho sort of thing, and he was told off very severely for doing that. But the head honcho was a good man, and he really was interested to hear what the janitor had to say because their sales were falling. It's his life story, brilliantly told and beautifully told in this biopic. I hope you can all watch it. Flaming Hot. After the snack, that's the snack, Flaming Hot, without the G, Flaming Hot. And it was just and what he realized through his journey, because he was overlooked and overlooked and overlooked, is exactly what you're saying, that everybody's a treasure, and that every single person that he meets, whether it's the gardener or the man that empties your rubbish or whatever it is, he just saw the treasure in everybody, and he was a man of such goodness and kindness, and there was the treasure in himself, his ideas, his integrity, his management skills. He had all these amazing skills, this janitor, and he had the gunas, which is the desire. That is a great film, and it's kind of a bit along the lines of what you were just saying, Lynn. So thank you very much for sharing that. I love that. Love that story. Hi, John. Yes, John.
John's back. John's back in town.
Hi, John.
I mentioned about this path that I was on before, and I didn't tell you which one it was. But I mean, there's a book. It's called Rays of the Dawn. I don't know if you can see that, but and it's by Dr. Thurman Frieden. It's the natural laws of the body, mind, and soul. But what he speaks to, and I was reading yesterday, kind of addresses our talk today, because I was reading a chapter on duty, and there is what Lynn was talking about. But he says here, a power higher than we are plans our duties and destinies. The paragraph before, I'd just like to share it, because it says, it speaks directly to this. And I read it yesterday. Each of us has an assigned job to do in this world, a mission in life, a duty we must perform to the best of our ability. We may be inclined to believe that one type of work is more commendable than another in the eyes of the divine, but whether or not our work is humble or dignified, perfect or imperfect, divine or secular, depends on the manner in which we perform it. Great souls have labored at menial jobs faithfully and well, realizing that these tasks were just stepping stones, necessary experiences in their evolution. The merit or fault, success or failure of a work is determined by the spiritual qualities accompanying it. It matters not to God or the world whether a man is a butcher or a bishop, but it matters whether he's a good butcher or a good bishop. So that kind of fits in what we're talking about, was what Lynn was talking about. So I thought I'd share
Totally
that.
fits in. It totally fits in. Thank you very much for reading that. That's great. It's of immense interest, I think, how people perform their tasks and how they feel about them. I think I said recently that, yeah, one of the most liberated people I met was in the house. Don't know what you call them here, but house what's it called? Recycling site. Where you empty your rubbish and thing. Is that what you call it? House recycling? Yeah. Anyway, this guy was always smiling and always so incredibly helpful every time you went. He kind of had a twinkle in his eye, and I said, you're so lovely to see. You really, it's worth coming just to see you. You're so happy. And I said, what is it? And he says, oh, I just like helping people to get rid of their stuff. And the way he said that, oh my God, I wanted to just kneel down and worship him. You know what I mean? It's just this simple guy. It was just brilliant. And then another time, I'm so sorry. I never know what I've said before, but I used to, when I went swimming all the time. This was a long time ago. It was kind of before they had these really fantastic public swimming pools. Anyway, it was a kind of an old-fashioned thing. So you sort of went through a kind of a gate thing, and so there was like a gatekeeper, and then you paid your money and you went swimming. And this guy, it was Tim, yeah, he was always, it seemed really laid back, and he sort of he had a very broad local accent. He was covered in tattoos, and he just kind of, I suppose he looked a bit rough, really, if I'm honest. But I kind of didn't see that the moment he opened his mouth. It just so lovely, warm and welcoming. And I think I might have told you this the other week. Well, blow me down anyway. If when I was starting to host these meetings with these notes and people like Rupert Spira and all these people, well, the one we had with Tony Parsons, which got the most people at the time, and there's Tim, and he says, "Hey, Mandy," he says, "I bet you didn't expect to see me here, did you?" He says, "I can see it all over your face. You did not expect to see me." And I said, "You've got me. You've got me. I did, I I knew there was something about you." But he says, "Well," he says, "I followed Tony Parsons and non-duality for years. This is my," and it was just so interesting. And it was a wake-up call, because I'd sort of put him in a box, maybe. I mean, I really liked him, but I kind of put him in a box. But that really, that incident with Tim, that just stopped me ever doing that again, ever. And I just saw exactly what you were talking about, Lynn, that absolutely everybody's a treasure. I mean, there's so many facets, to everybody, isn't it? It's just,
Yeah, and what was important, that you could recognize the resonance you had with him right from the start. You could
Yeah.
recognize that. You were in the same energetic field, and right at the recycling place, and
Yeah.
it was, and so that it's like birds of a feather.
You're right. That's true, John. That we resonate with these people that are in the same resonating field. It's true, isn't it? Because we notice it. You can't fail. Like the poem I wrote last week, which was that you could be walking along a crowded street and suddenly God appears before your eyes because you suddenly see that resonance in just one person. And I remember once going to a housing estate to see somebody many years ago, and that really was quite a rough estate. There was a lot of crime there, and it was even a difficult place to go and visit. And but I went to visit this family. Oh my goodness, the mother was like Mother Mary, and I can't tell you why I knew that. She was just doing ordinary things, but there was the most beloved kindness and sweetness and angelicness about this woman. And I love it that when we find these jewels in unexpected places, and then you lose even the thought there are any unexpected places because it's all there, and it can be there and everywhere and anywhere, isn't it? So yeah. I love that. Yeah. Oh. Mm. Anything else anyone wants to share? No, I can just sit and be quiet. Brianna.
Hey, hi everybody.
Hi.
I just it's been an amazing listening and to
Brianna, you're
to-
just breaking up a bit. You're breaking up. I don't know if you can do anything. Try again.
okay. I don't know if that's better.
Better. Don't know what you did, but
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it's been really an amazing call. Listening to everybody's story, thinking back in my own life of people I have run into and you know didn't attribute um their light to them, and how it contributed to me in a way that will be lasting. And yeah, so much to process. I'm looking forward to reading the poem again. And because there was even stuff that you shared in the poem that brought up so much. But everybody shared really great, interesting um, ways of working and walking through the world. Um, it just makes my heart happy. So
oh, thank you, Brianna. Because what you said, it's just a reminder that you never know who you've touched. And whenever any of us have dark moments or wonder about our capacity or whatever, if those thoughts ever come up from time to time, when you remember a look or a feeling that you just had from somebody's the tiniest exchange, well, you've done that too. We're always doing this for each other, and yeah, it really is amazing to hear from everybody. I love it. I really love it.
Yeah, it was nice to hear from Brianna, and I'd like to add one little thing. Mandy, when you spoke to Tim at the recycling place, what struck me really big is when he told you that he loves to see people dumping their stuff, and the word came to me, purging. Purging. And the necessity of purging, like a purgatory. Where we go and dump our stuff to get rid of it. The cleansing, and one of the things about your program and your poetry, it's a real cleansing for me. My experiences is the real cleansing and opening up of a new door, a new chapter every week. And so it's like a purging of the old and a new chapter to start the week. So I just wanted to say that and make sure that you know it.
Oh, thank you, John. You wouldn't believe how much that I feel that about you and everybody here and the things that I say here, when I come away from the call and how much expanse I feel from this sharing. It really, it's wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes, Rafi.
Yeah, I have to echo what he said. Dumping your stuff. That's the definition of releasing. We're dumping our stuff, cleaning it all out, getting the debris out of the way so we can get to that divine, quiet, infinite presence that we really are. Thank you, John. That was right on the money. And excuse me. And I think I've said enough. Thank you.
You've never said enough, Rafi. You can say as much as you like. Lynn, did you want to add something?
No, I just was listening, and I did. There was something I was going to say earlier, but I can't remember what it was. So it was something trivial. So
Oh, thank you. Yes,
oh,
Sally. Oh, did you
Well,
remember? Oh,
I don't talk too often, but I love the poem. That was beautiful, and I'm new to the course. I haven't really had any kind of transcendent experience, any kind of uh, feeling of. I do have moments of peace and peace of mind and everything, but I just love the topic that you guys are talking about today because I was a musician that sang and played on the road for 12 years. And then when I settled down, I wanted to work with people with special needs. So I did that for 21 years in the classroom. I just loved working with my guys. And, everybody here is an engineer or, you all have great careers and you're all well educated and everything. And I just love the fact that, there's genius in everybody and there's love in everybody and there's beauty in everybody and there's intelligence in everybody. And I worked with the people not because it was the only job I could get. It's what I wanted to do, and I didn't make a lot of money, but I love what I did. And I love being with you guys. And I just love the love and the community. And I'm so glad to be a part of it.
Sally, and may I say, first of all, that we're so glad that you're a part of this and that nobody's really new to the course. Not when you have a heart as humble and as massive as yours. You are not new to the course. It might seem that on the physical realm, as in getting the book and starting, but
Yeah.
the real meaning of that course is courseless because it's about now and what we're doing. And I have in common with you a bit the other way around because I worked for years and years with people with special needs, years and years, and then I was a musician and started doing all the world.
That's funny.
And I've got hardly any qualifications. Because I didn't believe in myself and it was a bit late and I didn't want to go and study then, so I don't have any big career or anything. But nobody here is in the least bit interested really about any kind of career or qualifications. But it's really so lovely to have you. And thank you for for what you said. And do feel free to speak more often.
I will. I will. And I love the idea of the story. Um, we were talking about a couple of days ago about just the story, and it's so funny how you define an experience just by the story or your life by the story. And I've been kind of looking at that like, oh, that's my story, and I want to step out of the story, and it's easier for me to sit back and look at my thoughts now, and just wow, that's a funny thought to have, instead of experiencing them. So that really helped me a lot.
Great. Yeah. Instead of feeding them or thinking they're important or needing to follow them to the nth degree.
Right, like, oh, that's
Yeah.
a funny thought to have. Oh, okay,
That's
I'm good
great.
with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Well, I think we've gotten it about to the end. So if you would like to put unless anybody's got anything else to say, certainly say anything. Otherwise, we'll just put the poem
Well,
back.
I'd like to say thank you again, but also what Sally was saying there, like and about stories and stuff, like and making up the stories that we want. So, like because it is a story, and and we're the one who's in charge of creating it. When we recognize that, we can do this. So, and for me, and for anybody else, I'm embracing the Mr. Snail story and just go slow on this journey and just savor the moment, savor what I'm hearing, and feel the resonance and the vibrations that's coming my way. So it doesn't pass me, go right over my head. So, with having said that, I just love that somebody would read the poem again.
I think that's absolutely true, John. It's about savoring. I love that word savoring because it says you're really sort of sucking the marrow out of life. Can't remember who said that. Was it Thoreau or could have been Walt Whitman? One of them said about sucking the marrow out of life and savoring it. Thank you so much. I'll read this time just because in this case I kind of know the emphasis I was putting on it. So if you don't mind hearing me reading it again, I'll read it. Oh, thank you, Joni. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Joni, for sort of helping me with everything and sorting everything sorting everything out now that we've changed the Zoom things. Okay. I am an open book. When I'm asked, what was my journey? I wonder if it really matters, whether my life was great or a train crash in tatters. Because when I learned to take frequent pauses through the day of stopping the constant thinking play, I woke up to the extraordinary happenings outside of time. And my life before, spent missing all this, was my only terrible crime. Yet no punishment required, since I was blind till I saw that everything around me is God's open door. God is that fly over there, and the wind blowing in my hair, and the grass and the grazing cow. So my journey is nowhere but here and now. I am an open book, which is empty if you look. No writing on the pages, or a life told in stages. No history from past ages. No chapter or paragraph. No words to make you cry or laugh. No secrets to enthrall. Just capacity for all to make their mark or leave it stark. No life that went before, just an open swinging door, merely an awestruck witness of life about its business. God squirreling, birding, and flowering. Mine shrinks away, tail down and cowering, finding the beauty overpowering. Lost for words, it loses face when emptiness takes its place. Every person, flower and creature becomes my blessed teacher. They are an entrance to God's presence, expressing his eternal essence. So life's not a journey, though it seems to be. We can leave the train when we stop and see. Only in stillness does clarity dawn, that moment by moment a fresh day is born. So my life is no mystery, it's just not making history. So thank you everyone so much. Thank you for the honor of listening to that and for coming and for, messing about with the new Zoom details, which will stay the same from now on. And thank you, Lynn, very much for helping me, also, and, letting everybody know and putting it in ACM gather. And yeah, bless you all. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.